Hello, dear ones. Father Peter John coming to you from the Bell Tower at All Saints Orthodox Church in Bloomington, Indiana. Christ is in our midst. Today in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 7, verse 24, we hear Jesus say these words, "Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house upon the rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock." Those are important words. Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, his house will not fail because it's built upon the rock. Those are important words. So I'd like to know then, what are these words that Jesus is talking about? Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them. Well, of course we could say that all of the sayings of Jesus are important and life-giving and nourishing. They're all strengthening. They're important because they're the words of the incarnate Son of God, right? That being said, what is Jesus specifically referring to here? If you go back to Matthew chapter 5, you will find out. He begins teaching on the mountain with the Beatitudes. You know the Beatitudes? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And he goes on like this. It's poetic, it's beautiful, it's instructive, it's life-giving. But then after this, he goes on to cover a whole multitude of other topics. He talks about adultery in the heart, right? The importance of keeping your heart pure. He talks about the binding nature of marriage, how it is sacred before God. He talks about how we are supposed to fast, how we're supposed to pray. He addresses anxiety issues. He talks about laying up for yourself treasures in heaven. He talks about all sorts of things. And that leads us then to chapter 7, verse 24, where he says, whoever hears these sayings and does them. So what does this mean for us? Well, brothers and sisters, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that it would be important for us to go to Matthew chapter 5 and to begin slowly and contemplatively and reflectively reading these words that Jesus says that if we hear them and we do them, that when the storms of life come, they will not prevail against us. They will not destroy our house because it has been built on the rock. I want my house to be built on the rock, right? We want our life to be one that is stable, our faith to be rock solid, our soul to be protected. We want these things. How do we get there from here? Jesus just told us, hear the words and do them. We got to begin by hearing the words. So brothers and sisters, I would challenge you not to go and read 3 chapters right now. Get it all in and say, okay, there, I did it. Because that's just kind of reading. That's like cramming for a test. This is a good marinade, you know. Matthew chapter 5. We start there. Maybe we read the Beatitudes the first evening. And then maybe the second evening we go on to the next teaching there. And we work maybe for a week on these 3 chapters. And then when we're done, we start over and do it again. Because the Lord wants us to hear these words, and then he wants us to soak them in. He wants them to flavor our soul. He wants us to do what he says because he wants us to be saved and stable and protected and holy. He wants our faith to be built upon the rock of his teachings. Christ is in our midst. He is and ever shall be.